So we're going to get started right away because I can't improvise. I've never done this before, and it sounds like there's echo. Are we doing okay on this department?
Lock your jacket, please.
Thank you, thank you. So we need to get started immediately since I can't improvise for beans, and I've never done this before, and we've got a ton of actual real content to cover. So the title of this presentation, as you can see, is The Sniper Method. And it's a method for quick cash hits and passive income streams, and that's what the internet is all about. So if you've ever wanted to generate job-killing cash from home, from anywhere in the world, in fact, with just a laptop computer and an internet connection, well, this may well be the most important presentation that you'll ever see. And so here's what I want to ask you. What if you could force 4- and 5-figure commissions into your accounts anytime from anywhere in the world on demand? And what if that didn't require any tech skills, any advertising, any guru buddies, any list of your own, and any prior experience? And what if you could start right away? Would that sound good to you?
Yes.
All right. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is the most copied quick cash method on the entire internet. When I came up with this, it was blazing new, and it's still blazing new, but everybody's trying to copy it. The gurus and the wannabes are just mushrooming out of the carpet trying to duplicate what I've done, and nobody's been able to do that so far. But the reason why that's happening is because this is a method that works for ordinary, real people. I'm talking about someone that's never done this before, doesn't have a website, barely has an email account, and can grab this and within a period of days or weeks, months, but days is better, generate really big fat commissions. And I'm going to show you examples of that very shortly. In fact, this can even work for you if you live in a hut that doesn't have an internet connection. Does anybody here live in a hut with no internet? Raise your hand. Yes? Okay, well, all of you are just barely qualified, but all the rest of you are overqualified, because you've got internet at home, and I'm going to prove that to you before I leave the stage today, beyond the shadow of a reasonable doubt. So with your permission, I'm going to speak fast, and instead of just flashing some theory at you and kind of showing you a couple of different things and, theory, as we call it, I'm going to show you a very specific method that, in fact, I'm going to show you 3 steps of a process that will allow you to just grab this and use it for yourself, whether you decide to purchase what I've got to offer at the end today or not. So you're going to want to take a lot of notes, so you want to get your pens and your notepads out right now, because I'm going to talk fast and I'm going to give away some killer content. And this is stuff that you want to write down, because whether you're doing affiliate marketing or you're going to start your business, you're going to have your own products, you're going to need to know this stuff. So this is my first time speaking, as Mark said, and he kind of, got me with that question, but there was noise in the back and not everyone was sitting down, so I'm going to ask it again. And one day when I ask this question, everybody in the room is going to raise their hands. But today, I know that there's just one guy who's sitting over there. He's got a red cap. He knows who I am because I met him on the tube, and he was looking at me funny from across the train. And I was thinking, no, he's a pretty big, tough-looking guy. And so I was thinking, maybe Brits don't like men who wear pink or something like that. But then we got off the train and he explained, and I felt a little bit relieved. But here, I just want to ask you, who knew before today or before coming to the seminar, who knew my name? That's not bad at all. I was expecting to have just that guy raise his hand, but. So, I'm not going to fluff around a lot, just a little bit at the beginning, but we are warriors. It's freaking Sunday morning, okay? Shouldn't we be in bed right now? Shouldn't you be having bangers and eggs or whatever you guys, have for breakfast? Sounds strange to me, but, whatever. Where I come from Montreal, Canada, and I flew in last night, and presently I haven't slept for 3 days, it's 5 a.m. in the morning right now, my time. And actually, I slept about an hour. I went to bed at 3 a.m. So, why would you want to do such a thing? Last week, and I'm talking about just last week, I relaunched my flagship product, the last time I'm ever going to sell it. And it sold out over $500,000 in 3 days. I was only selling that many spots. And so I thought it was good for a break, but then this Mark fellow, who's been harassing me, as he said, for, like, ever, was like, this is the perfect time, you gotta do this. And I'm like, you know what? You're right, this is the perfect time. So today is the perfect time, and you're gonna see why shortly. So one of my mentors once said, and he still says it because he's still alive and kicking, he says, make the easy choices and life becomes hard. Make the hard choices and life becomes easy. This is a philosophy to live by. You want to write that down. If it wasn't easy for me to say, you know what, I had planned a vacation because I did a product launch. That's a lot of work. And it's a lot of sleepless nights. So I had a vacation planned. And instead, I came here. It wasn't easy to make that decision, but I made it. It probably wasn't easy for you to come here either, because it's, and today is the perfect example. It's Sunday. It's a day that you want for yourself. It's a day to relax, to refresh yourself, to refocus. And yet here we are trying to go after a bigger and brighter future, and that's amazing. So by coming here today, you've said, essentially, nobody's going to give me what I want. I'm going to get it for myself. The days of 40-40 are done, and 40-40 is 40 hours a week for 40 years of your life. That's over. It doesn't happen anymore. So from here on, I'm going to be in control. There are no accidents. I'm going to forge my own reality, and that's why, instead of going to the beach, I got up at 3 a.m. and came here to talk to you. And so I'm just going to give you, thank you. And while you're at it, give yourselves a round of applause for coming here too. All right. So I'm going to take another 5 minutes of your time to tell you a little bit about myself and where I come from. So like I said, I'm from Montreal, Canada, and I come from a very average, normal family. There's no business people in my family. There's no rich people. There's no one to inherit from. There's nothing of that sort. So when this started happening, I was about 26 years old, so that's, we're talking about 4 years ago now, and I was in a dead-end job. I had loaded my credit cards to the brink. I was making just a hair over minimum wage. I absolutely hated my life, and when the credit card bills came every month, I could barely pay the interest on it. And so I knew that essentially, if something didn't change dramatically, to put it bluntly, I was screwed. And I didn't want to be screwed, so I started looking for ways out. And, the most painful thing, I think, is growing older and progressing in life, and then you underline these with birthdays, and you don't necessarily feel good because you feel that you should be somewhere else in your life than where you are at right now. And that, for me, was the most painful thing in the world. It wasn't necessarily the lack of money. It was my mother used to tell me that I was smart and that I could do whatever it was that I wanted to do when I grew up, and that just wasn't happening. And so I turned to the internet and I started tinkering around, and I spent thousands and thousands of dollars, and I was credit card happy in those days, as I've already said, and I spent thousands and thousands of dollars that I didn't have on internet marketing stuff because I wanted to make it work. And I was going to do it no matter what it took. And it took a while. It took several months before it started even just trickling in. But then it got better and better, and it got better fast. And so it's been, 3 years and a half. I went from a one-bedroom apartment. This is a one-bedroom apartment overlooking a junkyard. I'm serious, because this is the only apartment that I could get because I'd just been kicked out of my last apartment because I was 3 months behind on rent. I had a girlfriend at the time that I was supposed to be supporting through school. I did not feel good about that at all. But I was in this one-bedroom apartment that some nice chap rented me, despite the fact that I was a terrible credit risk in all sorts of ways. And from that one-bedroom apartment with pink walls on the kitchen table with my laptop and an internet connection, in a period of approximately 6 months, I completely turned my life around. And today, here I am, speaking in front of nearly 500 people, a 30-year-old millionaire, thanks to the internet. Thank you. So essentially what happened, it was simple. You don't need a lot of complicated stuff, and you don't need a lot of stuff to make a killing on the internet. You just need a couple of methods that worked. And I found one method that allowed me to essentially dominate Google almost at will. And so what I did was then I did it once, did it twice, and like, wow, this actually works. And then I fine-tuned it and I optimized it like crazy so that I could do it better and I could do it faster and I could do it more often so that I'd be making more money faster and with less effort. I think that sounds like a pretty good proposition. So I'm going to show you in just a minute how I did that. But here's what my life looks like now. In the past 13 months, I've been to Egypt twice, I've been to Russia twice, and I've also been to Germany, Greece, Holland, Denmark, England. This is the second time now, and the Dominican Republic. But here's something that I enjoyed even more, and this is a true grandiose privilege of life. If you can get this, if you can grasp for this in your life, and you're already doing that today, but you can even step it up one more level. So I got elite level training straight from the source. I invested over $100,000 of my own money in the past 13 months so that I could get the expert advice straight from the source. And there's nothing more beautiful than that. And that is a true privilege that I hope that you all enjoy to the highest degree one day. So that took me to Las Vegas, Phoenix, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, all over the place. And here's something that is probably even better. Is when I was growing up as a teenager, I knew I wanted to be in business, but I knew that I wasn't going to have any large means, large financial means. And so my father bought me this book called Guerrilla Marketing by J. Conrad Levinson. And essentially what that book's about is how to take a very small marketing budget and stretch it a very long way. And it was a very influential book in my life because when I literally started my company with a total negative cash flow and zero money in my pockets. And so I knew that a little bit was going to need to go a long way. And I actually met J. Conrad Levinson, it was about 8 months ago at a seminar, and we actually sat down and talked for an hour and a half. And so that was, a great moment right there, to have these people that you look up to as a kid, and then you actually meet them and you talk to them on a practically equal basis, where they ask you questions, they want to know what you've got, and you do the same. And the same with Mark Victor Hansen, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, and a couple of other best-selling New York Times authors I was also able to meet. And finally, and this is, I've missed out big time, but I'm going to do it next year, I was invited to spend a week on Richard Branson's private island with 15 other entrepreneurs, and I had to turn it down because I had another vacation plan and it was just too screwy, I couldn't do it, but I am going to do it next year. But this just shows you what's possible to achieve in a short period of time. So all that was made possible by what I'm going to show you right now, which is the sniper method. So who would like to know how to tame Google this way? Yes? All right. So here's how the sniper method came about. The way I started making money on the internet when I started was what we call mostly black hat search engine optimization. So Google's got rules about getting to the top and generating traffic. And when you're a black hat, it's not that you're doing anything, necessarily unethical or illegal, but you're not playing by Google's rules. And so that's what I was doing. I was like, screw what Google tells me. If it pays me money and it gets me traffic, it's my website. I can do whatever I want. And so that's what I was doing, and essentially I just figured out how to get stuff to the top of Google. And this is like, if you can learn one skill for the rest of your life and be paid for it anywhere in the world, is learn how to get a web page to the top of Google. Because it's not just going to pay you for your own business or for your affiliate business. Any sensible business person will literally throw chunks of